So, have you ever heard of the statement that real men don't cry? In this dialogue of connecting to gender-based violence, have we included men and the boy child that much? What is the state of the boy child when it comes to gender-based violence? Are men really as strong and as invisible as we claim them to be? Welcome to today's episode of the Trinity Show. As we all know, this is a series that is running, connecting to voices against gender-based violence. And I am Trinity Peace Gorondru, your host. So today we are here at Coco Palms. It is a very beautiful sunny day, and we are enjoying the beautiful cool breeze of Arua City. Today I am very, very delighted to have very, very special friends of mine who so glad that they are here. Why I call them special is because through their teamwork and through their support way back in 2020, the Trinity Show was birthed. And having them here somehow takes my memories back to that time. So I'm so excited to have them here today. They are not only my friends, but when you talk about the West Nile entertainment and media industry, you cannot talk about it without mentioning them. So you're so welcome. I'm so happy to have you all here today.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm so happy. So just briefly, I know you don't need introductions. You really don't. But just briefly, you can tell us probably something about yourself and, where you come from and that kind of thing. Just briefly.
Okay, I'm called Lematia Adams, commonly known as Otelul. I'm a journalist, social media influencer. I've worked on all these radio stations, the TVs as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Vegas.
Thank you very much. My name is Opingopi Yusuf Andabati. I'm a journalist. I'm a media person, I should say, and also a law student. I'm an actor. I'm so many things in one. So I'm glad to be here on the show, and I do hope that we can be able to have a very interesting discussion in the next 1 hour. So I'm glad that I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Not to say much. I am called Kimnazz. Actually, my government name's Hakim Aliku. I'm glad to be here. It's a very special feeling. Otherwise, I want to start by saying that this is something we've been waiting for. It's a platform we've been waiting for.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to have you all on board. And this series was inspired by a book that I recently published, connecting to the issue of gender-based violence. So it is running from now until the end of the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. So this particular topic of today is really interesting. And I think that's why the panel is just with the representatives of the boy child. So men out there, if they don't represent you well, you will hold them accountable. But I think they'll be able to represent the discussion well. And we're just going to switch in. Let's not switch in straight away. So let me start with Vegas. Mm-hmm. What does gender-based violence mean to you?
Gender-based violence means that when a man is going through emotional damage, physical damage, could be him being physically attacked, emotionally being tortured, could be financially in institutions, something of that kind. So he feels broken when a man feels broken down in many aspects. Yes.
All right. Yeah. And then, Andy, what does gender-based violence against the boy child or against men mean to you?
Gender-based violence against the boy child or men, my understanding of this is that it is when the men or the boys are exposed to aspects of violence. It could be situation where a boy or a man is denied a necessity that is very key to that person. It could be basically like aspects of violence against this person. It could be sexual violence. It could be, violence in terms of the aspects of health, that affects the mind of the person. It could be violence in terms of, a lot of issues that happen in our communities. There could be violence that may be emanating from the aspect of land, which is a very key, issue that is always affecting people in our communities. And so the number of issues to do with violence, especially related to men and boys, that we could be able to talk about. But basically, in a nutshell, I could say it is violence against, the boys and the men that affects their livelihood, that affects their well-being, in the society. And so that is gender-based violence that I could be talking about.
All right. So let's go to Kim.
Not far away from what my colleague Andy has just said, but in common man's language, I would say it's any inhuman act directed towards a boy child or a man, the gender that represents probably a bigger population when it comes to the terming, because normally you find when we talk about violence, everybody thinks about men inflicting on women. So that really gives the popularity aspect of it being mostly generated or developed by men, but against women. In a nutshell, it's just that inhuman or unwanted act against the boy the male gender.
Okay, so I'm going to start from your point of how the world usually looks at it from the other side. If you're to look at gender-based violence against the boy child or against men, this is something that is not usually talked about. Even in these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, it is actually 16 days of activism against gender-based violence inflicted on girls and women. So most times in this discussion, men are usually left out. So why do we think that this issue connecting to men, why is it not talked about? Why is it often maybe ignored or not discussed or less discussed? Let me put it that way.
Yes, thank you so much. Let me get straight to that question. It's a very wonderful question. I want to say that like I briefly spoke about popularity. Yes. You get to realize that it's more popular or harm is inflicted more on the girl child or the female gender. That is why it has been much talked about. But I can tell you what is actually on ground is much different from what is being talked or said. So you discover that the boy child suffers this. Okay, percentage wise, I can't say it's more on the men or on the boys because it's wide open that men based on their formation nature, if I may say, they are created and they are said to be stronger than women. So you find that if there is any case of violence, maybe between the two, you discover the female gender tend to suffer it more. That is why it has been much talked about. But I can tell you that does not ignore or in any way should not give anyone a right to ignore what men actually go through. The boy child goes through a lot. Like my colleague Andy said, physically, they have been harmed by a number of occasions or issues. Then you find mentally some damage, psychologically, a lot of issues actually they go through. Even to the extent there are people who still think when there's a fight between a man and a woman, and maybe a case like that is taken to police, there are still some group of people or category of people who think the damage inflicted on a man is simply when the woman was trying to defend herself. Which is not true, because there are violent women who actually can immediately lose their temper and they end up harming the men. But that is not being talked about. So I think the mindset change is one big thing we should also look at first. If we change the minds, if we change minds or sensitize people to understand that men also do go through these damages, emotional damages, then we'll be able to discover right from the roots, like how this can be stopped. Because at the end of the day, if everyone in the community now believes it is the men against women, then we are going to go very wrong. And it will be very difficult to come out of this situation. So the best we can do is to first make people understand that men also do suffer this. Yeah.
Okay, so connecting to what he has said, why do you think that we usually don't talk about gender-based violence inflicted on the boy child or on men?
First of all, like Kim did say before, even as we are growing up, they tell you that you have to be strong when you're a boy When a girl slaps you, they tell you you shouldn't cry. So we grew up with that men are supposed to be very strong. In a community, if you're a man and you're not strong, it's an embarrassment. So that's why when a woman beats her husband, she keeps it under the table. The kids will not know, the brothers will not know, the neighbors wouldn't know, because he really loves to keep that embarrassment. At the end of the day, you realize that the community never talks about what men go through. So we hide. We hide because we're just simply covering what? Embarrassment. And secondly, I can tell you, section of people believe that a man can actually be violated by another gender. Even if you go to police, when a woman reports a case before you, and yet you're not the wrong person, let me tell you, the woman's case will be considered and most fingers will be pointed towards you. It is just that mindset. So for us as men, then you'll be thinking, okay, she has wronged me. Why should I even go to the police? Because they will still go and support her. I've even seen an incident where there's an accident caused by a woman, but fellow men on the road started beating. The other man said, it is not the woman, it is you who caused it. You know, women cannot cause accident. It is we who are aggressive. So that mindset across the community makes us keep quiet on most of the things we go through.
Okay.
Yes.
Now connecting to you've talked about the mindset and then how we are raised up, where boys are expected to be, strong. I think even when you look at when a baby, just let me say when a toddler, when he falls down, you find everyone can be like, you a man, why are you crying? That kind of thing. So most times, I think it comes back to our culture. So Andy, I want you to comment on our culture and how it has influenced how we perceive gender-based violence. Do you believe that being a man or being strong as a man refers to you not being able to show out your emotions?
Well, traditionally, like maybe starting from the previous question you asked the two colleagues, the aspect of tradition actually plays a very big role in shutting down or sweeping gender-based violence against men and boys under the carpet. And because traditionally, like my colleague said, the norm is that as a man, you are supposed to be the strong sex. Yes. You're supposed to be strong. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to be a crybaby. And that in itself sends in the message within the boy child that when something happens to you, first of all, you should be able to look for solution from within.
From within.
And this in itself has caused a lot of aspects of suicide. There are a lot of suicide cases that are happening in our communities. Recently, we just buried a friend who committed suicide because this has become the norm that as a man, you're supposed to be strong. Whatever happens to you, you're not supposed to be crying out about it. You're not supposed to report about it. So our tradition has played a very big role in creating or elevating gender-based violence in the communities against the boy child. But if that can be cured, if a boy child can be, told that yes, whatever you face is also the same thing that the girl child is facing, then we can be at par. If you look at maybe the government and authorities have borrowed one or two things from the tradition, the aspect of the affirmative action. There's affirmative action that has been given for the girl child. They have been favored in a way, and this in itself has disfavored the boy child, and it has affected the boy child in so much way that it results into the gender-based violence that is committed against the boy child ends up being kept quiet about, ends up being swept under the carpet, and nobody talks about it. And sometimes when you talk about it, they say, "Yeah, you man, be a man."
Be a man.
That is the word, be a man. Even if this person is just below 18, they still tell you, be a man. They have told us this several times. And sometimes, I will tell you an experience while at school. In primary school, there was this girl who was well built. She would beat everybody. But when the girl beats you, you keep quiet. There came a time when we had to team up against this girl and beat her properly. And then she started crying. So when she cried, we were beaten. And yet all this time, she has been beating us throughout the term, I mean, throughout the year. But this was also a one-time event when we teamed up to beat her. During, there's something we used to call Kalamta Alifu. So you would team when they give you holidays to go home, the third-term holidays. That is when the rivalry, you finish your rivalry.
Finish it up.
So we had to finish our rivalry with this girl at the end of the year, in December. But we were captured. We were beaten, saying, how do you beat this girl? And then not knowing the history the girl has been putting us through.
Where this all has started from.
This all started from. From term 1, term 2, the girl has been beating us. We've not been, talking about it because they always tell us, be a man. But there was only one moment where we had to
defend yourself,
to defend ourselves.
Actually, but one moment you stood to be the man they wanted
me to be,
and that became a violence.
Exactly, that became violence. And yet, all this time, she has been exerting violence against us. Nobody has been talking about it because they have told us to be a man, and we kept quiet because how can a woman beat you?
I think that comes back to the mindset we spoke about.
Yes.
Let people accept that men can be beaten, and they are normally beaten. That should sink into people.
Yes. I agree on the side of, it is the mindset, the tradition generally of, and I think that statement alone is really not right, because if you're beaten, you also feel pain. Even as a man, yes, you also feel pain. And sometimes violence or abuse it's not only even physical, psychologically and all that. And then if you're to look at how most times women we are set up, for us we are encouraged to speak out. That's why you find even in funeral places or in a place where women we are so free, to get out our emotions, we can cry and that kind of thing. But when it comes to men, you find that it's a little bit different.
This comes back to the aspect of still the tradition. As a man, you're not supposed to gossip. So when you report such issues that happen, on you, when you report them, they look at it like gossip. Why are you being a woman? Why are you being so feminine? Because you're reporting something that has affected you. I'll be able to tell you and give you an example. I was, as a journalist, I would move to the police station very frequently. There was a soldier, a UPDF officer, who reported his wife to the police station, to the family and child protection unit, because the wife is always beating this UPDF officer.
He's a UPDF officer.
So I don't know if it is an instinct. All the police officers busted out laughing. They said, why are you laughing at me? I am reporting a violence against myself because it is happening at home. Why? They said, but you're a UPDF officer. Then he said, so you want me to use the gun against my wife first so that you will know there has been gender-based violence against me? So the police officers started looking themselves in their eyes. They said no. So that means there is something in the communities that we're not giving attention to. So this should be given so much attention that in our families, there are aspects where the men are killed by their wives in their houses. They are stabbed. There was one here in Manibe where the woman in the process squeezed the man's genitals until the man collapsed and died. And so that is some of the examples that are there in our communities that we need to give attention to. But if it is the way it stands now, because traditionally we are supposed to be strong, because we are not supposed to express our emotions as men. The common talk is that as a man you're supposed to use your brain, you're not supposed to use your heart. But most of these things affect our hearts, then they in turn affect our brains. And that is why you see the number of men that are mad on the streets is more than the number of women that are mad on the streets. Because there are these aspects of violence that are against men that are not talked about. So because they are not being talked about, what happens is they end up, harboring this
inside.
Then at the end of the day, you go mad.
Mm.
The whole hospital unit of the psychiatric unit is filled with men because aspects of men are not being talked about. But the one of women, it is being talked about. They are being helped. There is affirmative action, like I said earlier on, that is geared towards helping women.
Girl child.
What about the boy child? Look at the aspects of education. The girl child is being helped. There's that, is it 0.1 or 1.5 that is given for the boy child, for the girl child. But the boy child is being left out in the aspect of education. So these are issues that affect the boy child to the extent that, they struggle with education. In the process of struggle with education, then they go mad. Even at home.
Drug abuse.
Yes. Your parents, they end up helping the girl child. For you don't get help. You end up abusing drugs so that you can get extra help. Because the drug will be able to give you extra support that a parent or a guardian is not giving you, but they're giving the girl child. So these are aspects of gender-based violence that are against, the boy child. And even the constitution itself. If you look at the aspect of the laws of the country, I beg your pardon, if you look at the aspect of defilement, it talks about the girl child alone. When recently there is a boy of 15 years who impregnated a woman of 25 years. The matter is still going around. But whenever this is reported, everyone laughs at this boy. They laugh at the situation. This is a very recent aspect that happened this month.
And instead of looking at the woman.
Instead of looking at the woman that has, tampered with the boy child, because this is a minor. They say now, this boy, this is a boy who is ready to produce. Do we have to talk about this? Why don't we just leave them to go and, but this is a boy who is in school. This is a boy who is a minor. And the laws are saying for defilement.
Based on his age, he might have been influenced. Not really him making a move, but a woman might have maybe promised things or materialistic things and probably to lure him into that.
Exactly. But this is not looked at. The aspects of sexual gender-based violence that are happening, a lot of men are being raped, but now it is not being reported. So for me, I look at this here is even one of the aspects of rape. Because
it is.
This boy does not
actually
have
true.
the mind of consent. Because for rape to occur, there must be lack of consent. This boy does not have the age of consent. He's just a minor. Did not consent to this sexual act. This is a rape. This is defilement in a way, but the law of defilement only caters for the girl child. So for me, those are some of the disparities that need to be cured for the boy child to be helped.
Yes. Yeah. So I was actually going to connect to the point of sexual violence, and I'm glad that you brought it up. I also got a story, a similar one, where the boy was also a minor, and the lady was, I think, already 20 something. And then instead, culturally, the parents of the lady had to come to his home to demand for
dowry.
Dowry. So like our boy is actually young. And even you find that even if the girl is not maybe older, let me say even if they're of the same age, the boy's parents will still be demanded. It will not be considered that maybe this boy is young. And there are so many people who believe that men cannot be sexually abused. Actually, there are many people who believe that men cannot be sexually abused. What's your comment on that?
That's true. They believe that men cannot be sexually abused. Of course, there are many things into that. First of all, for us men, they think you have all the powers when it comes to sexual sexual intercourse. You're the one making the woman to scream. So for you, you're everything. So from that perspective, the mindset is always deep that a man can never be sexually abused. But we have seen, like, you people have given the example where these kids are being defiled. Now, our society still thinks defilement doesn't consider us men. You understand? And it touches us emotionally and also still connected sexually. You realize women discussing our body sizes. You understand?
That's violence.
Violence, complete violence.
Stigmatizes us.
It ends us, it blocks our minds. Sometimes you feel, okay, maybe I shouldn't get married. And you even sometimes start thinking, can I even make a woman pregnant? No, maybe I should leave all this. Maybe I should commit suicide. You understand? So all this, it's directed towards us. It brings a lot of inferiority, a lot of things. So the grassroots information has to change. The grassroots has to know that we can get defiled. The grassroots has to know that it's not only us who even go through pain during sex, because some people even believe men don't experience an inch of pain during sex, but it happens, So the grassroots mindset has to change.
All right. So, still talking about that, we've agreed that men can also be sexually abused. Men can be raped. Yes, and I think the even has, because when we are educating the young girls, we'll be like, know how to say no, know your body, know how to defend yourself, know how to be how do you call it, be able to speak out. So I think the same message should also be, it is fair enough that even the boys, when we are talking about some of those things, even the boy child needs to be informed so that they know their rights.
Like at school, there's this term they call bad touches. They only think bad touches on women.
On girls, yes.
See? So those are some of the mindsets. Even the schools now need to start adopting that bad touches can be on Kimnazz, can be on Andy, can be on New Trinity. So it has to be an all-round.
All right. So coming somehow connecting to that, but somehow slightly going off from that, we've talked about sexual violence. We've talked about different forms of violence that affect. Have we left out anything? Or maybe in case you wanted to add something on some of the forms of violence that affect the boy child, maybe let me say concentrating on West Nile, but generally that maybe you feel that there is need to speak about.
I wanted to put a summary to what we discussed already. I think it comes back to three key statements that people need to understand properly. The first is when they say men are supposed to be strong. Traditionally, this was meant to be for defense. When in the olden days, probably if they say men should be strong, it means they should be hunters. They can go to the bush to hunt. They can be capable of defending the country in terms of wars and all that. That's why from the natural settings, you will understand that there are probably more men who are in the army than women.
Yeah.
So that statement of men should be strong or a boy child should be stronger should be well understood. So it should be treated in that manner, other than looking at them saying that they can't feel pain because they are strong. No,
because they are men.
Exactly, that is one. About the sexual violence aspect, I think also this particular statement I'm about to say should be treated with some bit of urgency. I think our setting has also made it a little bit wrong to me that when they say men impregnate women, just because the 9 months are meant for the women, they believe men are there to do things. So there is no way after a man or probably a 15-year-old boy making a 25 woman pregnant, there is no way you expect the parents of the boy to actually go to the woman's home. Why? Because if they report this to somebody else, let's say to another party, they can't say the woman did it on a man or on this said boy. They would rather say a 15-year-old boy impregnated. You see, that sounds, it's a favoritism kind of thing. It discriminates, that statement alone. Because somebody will say it is the boy who was, which means he is capable.
He's the cause of this.
He is the cause of this. They can't say it is the woman. And that setting alone to me is very bad. It is what has made people believe that whoever is to be accused when it comes to us issues of pregnancy is the boy. But now it is the woman carrying. What if she influenced even it? What if she wanted it? I think that needs to be really put through the thin line and clearly, understood for us to come out of this big problem. And lastly, probably I want to say that, you see, we have naturally also failed when it comes to looking at men in the community. I think people look at men as everything. this is because women have decided to look at themselves as the inferior gender. The day the women will come out, if you look at the offices, yes, it is the men who dominate. You go everywhere, it is the men who dominate. But then, if women stood up, if they stood up and decided to look at certain things and become more responsible, then we would have limited issues of men being again, I mean the influencers of everything. We would start looking at women as perpetrators too, which means they need to first stand up. I'm glad that everywhere they're being emancipated. This is being looked at. Every humanitarian organization, they're looking forward to, emancipating women, seeing that they grow. Let that continue. At the end of the day, if women are strong, first of all, why will somebody think that I have harmed you, Trinity, when you are strong and you're capable of achieving everything for your own self? They will definitely look at you as a strong person if you're able to earn the good money that you want to earn, if you're able to build the good houses. Let people forget that men are supposed to be the one to build. Let people forget that men are supposed to be the one to set things up.
That cultural, that traditional mindset.
That mindset has to be beaten down.
Yes.
Perfect.
It has to move away.
I think those are key statements that I felt I did.
That is to do with the economic violence that we are going through.
Exactly.
You understand? So a woman thinks that I have to give her man as a must.
Yeah.
Then if I don't give her this money, she goes telling her friends, Otelul doesn't help me. He's very stingy. Find everyone saying.
Even sometimes this woman who says you're stingy, you're not giving her money, earns more than you.
Exactly. I can construct a house with a woman. At the end of the day, she says the house is hers. Yeah. You understand? And I may have I'll say, okay, I really need to get married, but I get to a woman like, okay, when you want to marry me, first deposit some 20 million in my account. Emotionally, I go down. You
20 cows.
You pay 20 cows.
You are my wife. We went to bed at the same time. You wake up in the morning and ask me for sugar. Was I working in the night?
and both of us are working.
Both of us are working.
You're even working more than I do.
Who was working? Who was earning in the middle of the night? So I think that needs to change.
Yes.
It needs to change.
Maybe just to chip on an example that I came across. There's a primary school. The norm is that in Uganda, as children progress with their education, many girls drop off. But the opposite is true in a school in Arua district, in Arivo sub-county, where I went. There was some training I was holding with some stakeholders. I realized the number of girls in that school is more than the number of boys in that same school. And I did some small sampling of the population in P7, primary 7. There were about 19 pupils in primary 7, but out of the 19, just 8 were boys. I said, this is not normal. Something has to be done.
Yes.
And that in itself means the boy child has been neglected for too long. And this has to stop. Like my colleague Kimnazz has said, yes, these affirmative actions, this emancipation for women has to continue. But the boy child must not be neglected.
Yes.
This neglect, this neglect that has been exerted against the boy child, the men is, relegating us to the lowest level of the society. And that has to change.
All right. So now, still connecting to that, we are going to... We've mentioned some aspects. I think it connects to the next question that I'm going to have. Some of the things that are considered normal in our society, but are actually violence. We've talked about, he gave us an example of we all sleep at night.
Yeah.
We wake up, and when you wake up in the morning, you're demanding.
You demand from the man, and you expect him to be rich, just to become rich overnight. And the same you with whom they went to bed together, you think you don't have, but you think he has.
He has.
So what is it that he did overnight that you were not doing? So at the end of the day...
And you think he has to work, and for you cannot work, you have to wait.
Exactly.
The man is supposed to work and bring money at home.
Yeah. So when it comes to apportioning blames, I think partly I also blame men when it comes to this, because we have also, for a long time, made women also believe that they're inferior. and we should be the stronger ones.
It is not
So
of
as
men,
men,
it's the society.
As men, or as to me, I still want to apportion some kind of blame here.
To men.
Yes, men should also now, at the end of the day, come up and say, okay, women, you are free to do things. Do things we cannot do, or you can do things we are doing that you think you can do better. Do them. Let there be some bit of equality. If we are not going to go into that or follow that direction,
I want to disagree with you in totality.
Okay.
That. The day men come and say women, or the day the society says women now do whatever men can do, or even do it better, is the day we are opening the floodgates for violence.
And this is already happening.
There are certain things.
This is already happening.
No, it is happening, but it has to happen with caution.
You will agree with me that, okay, you may be looking at it from the other angle, maybe economically, but I can tell you, even right now, sexually, women now do more of things that men are supposed to do. I think that is the kind of freedom that they're already getting. And at the end of the day, they should
be able to.
A little
bit more. What are
women jump on us lately. So it will take long probably for you to understand. But that is a key aspect. It means they are getting to believe that they are capable of doing some of the things. Like in the past, they will only think that, yes, a woman has gone on and
But I also need to, I accept what Kimnazz is saying. We are the causes of some of these things.
Yes.
If you really know you cannot manage, you be open and say, I cannot manage this. Financially, if I cannot manage a woman who is going to cause me economic violence in my head, torture me, why do I keep promising you cars? Why do I keep promising you houses?
Correct.
Yet I cannot do. If I come out boldly in the community and say, okay, woman, I know you're beautiful, you're a red woman, but I cannot handle this.
Perfect.
Which means it will give confidence to Kimnazz. Okay, if Otelul can come out boldly and say that he cannot handle this,
Exactly.
meaning I can also come out boldly and say I cannot handle this. Then why do I have to go to a woman who can even beat me? And if I can admit boldly, she beats me, then Kimnazz will also admit, that one can also beat me.
Yeah, that one also can beat me.
Eventually, eventually the tradition will spread around the community that, well, a man can come out and admit that I don't have the finances to marry a woman. So at the end of the day, I will be at peace. Some of these things will be minimized.
Yes.
Some of these things will be. So we have a role to play
as men.
Exactly. Then also women have a role to play when there's violence against men. If men are the ones to carry out the advocacy, people take it for granted. Say, now men are campaigning for themselves. So I really love what you're doing. Since you've come out as a woman to fight this, then women will be like, I think it's true. Because this lady is also standing for them. So we need, for violence against women, women have to stand strong. And violence against men, women should come and stand strong.
It means there should be a kind of opposite
so people not start doubting like, these fellow men are fighting for themselves. They are trying to secure themselves. Fellow women are trying to secure. They don't see our hustles. But if we have women standing for men, men standing for women, I think some of these things will minimize and it starts making sense in people's minds.
Yes, you were saying something.
What it is basically the blame should not be apportioned on the men. This is a stereotype that has been created by the society, and we need to get back to the.
We're just saying some percentage, not real all men.
Yes, but we need to get back to the drawing board and see how have we reached here? What can we do to be able to cure this disease that we are in? Because without looking at that, yes, like he has also said, if we start just saying we're blaming the men now, if the men start coming out of this themselves, it will not make sense. So the most appropriate thing is for us to get back to the drawing board. There are certain aspects of our society, there are certain aspects of our customs that are already very obsolete. That we say our customs are ever evolving. They are changing. So with the change of the society, some of these customs need to move away, because we cannot say in this day and age that the practices that existed in the 1900s should still be existing now. And so things have changed. The foods that we eat are different. And you realize that there are women who are more stronger than men. And so I like his solution to this. Women should be able to advocate for, men's rights. for a very long time, men have been advocating for women's rights since 1980s. And so for me, I think the opposite should start happening. Women should be advocating for our rights because we are being marginalized as the boy child, as men. And so something needs to be done, and that something needs to be done has to be done very, very
urgently.
Yeah.
Yes. I do agree with the point that he brought up, that advocating for this, women should also be able to come and speak out.
It's about championing the whole cause.
Yes, women should be able to champion this, because if you're to look at, for example, our blood connections, it is women who give birth to these boys. So you, as a boy, you have sisters, you have a mother, you have friends who are female, and then you find funny how that's why you find that most times mothers-in-law and their daughters-in-law, you find that most times they don't connect, because the mother thinks
the son is not giving because this woman is doing
this woman is yes, and even you find that the sisters-in-law usually end up sometimes not liking their brothers' wives, because they somehow have an inkling that my brother is being tortured, or something like that. So I think women should be able to come and speak out about this, not just because of the blood connections and all that, but because this is how we can actually change the society. So the fact that men are speaking up against things connecting to women, I think it is just enough that women should also come on board, because if we don't speak about this, it could be your son that could be affected one day. It could be your grandson, maybe, if you're not here. So the change starts with us, and I think I really do agree with that point. So now coming to boys not being able to speak out, and then it connecting to tradition and our culture and how the boys have been raised up. What would you tell boys who are going through some sort of they're going through something, and maybe they're resorting to drugs, or they're resorting to other forms of trying to not bring this out? Maybe they're resorting to, actually there's so many men who have gone into depression. I remember during lockdown, during lockdown, we've ever had this conversation connecting to the boy child. What about the boy child? And then we came to discover that when you're to look at mental health cases, as he mentioned before, in our psychiatric wards, you find mostly are men. Look at around drug abuse and all that, you find that most times it is men. So let me start with Kim.
Yes,
what message would you have for a boy or a man who thinks he's going through abuse, but because of what the society thinks, he can't speak out?
Yes, thank you so much. I think, okay, I would have a number of probably information, messages to the boy child. But before I utter that, I want to think that the government has a big role to play in this. Okay, all the stakeholders do have a stake in this. They have a role to play to curb this down. Before the boy child comes up to say that freely, I have been beaten by my wife, or I am not paid. They have decided to pay my sisters. They say that the girls are doing better now, so I've been ignored. And all. Before they come out, government should put certain things in the constitution, change a few things, make people understand that the boy child, like we said, mindset is a big thing here. Mindset change has to come in as the first thing. Then bylaws should be created in the communities where we are living. Let people accept that the boy child can suffer this. So because of that, they should have the freedom to come out to speak. Let the government institutions understand and try to balance certain things. For example, the police. If these cases are reported to the police, let the police understand that a boy child is right to report such a case. Because if a boy child reports and people look at him or take him as a laughing stock, at the end of the day, more who are supposed to come out will not come out because of shame. Because the thinking is that it is wrong for them to come out. So if they are given the freedom, if they are sensitized to understand their own rights, so that they will freely come out. And for the boy child, I boldly will say, stand for your own self. Don't allow yourself to be killed silently. Many have suffered that. I can give you an example of a man in my neighborhood who was once beaten by the wife. People rushed into the house, but reaching there, this man said, when he just looked at his colleagues, remember, men love staying in cliques. They stay in groups. So even his fellow group members, they believe it's wrong for the wife to beat him. So the day this happened, and when he shouted, people entered the room, and one of the group members, his colleagues with whom they stay at work, reached in the scene. Trust me, this man changed his behavior. He started acting like nothing was happening. Why? Because he knew through this gentleman, this is going to reach to the workplace. And that alone made him to hide. Like, you see, a kind of trying to hide the whole, the bitter fact that he was being beaten. He was trying to hide that. So let the boy child come boldly and say, Okomani de Amato. That will be enough for him to be looked into, for that matter to be looked into,
you can even get
and for him to be helped. If that is not done, if government institutions are not looking at equality, if the community is not putting in bylaws, because the bylaws will cut across, it will be, it will be gender crossed. A man must not beat a woman, and likewise. That way, we'll be able to look at a very tangible society that lives violence free. We'll be able to look at the mindset of men should be strong or stronger, will be looked at from a better angle, not from the aspect of, from the perspective of them being capable of beating women. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
Yeah, just he's talked about the aspect of the law and the rest of it. I think for me, acceptance. The boy child and the society should first of all accept that yes, there's gender-based violence against men. There's gender-based violence against the boy child. That acceptance is key for us to be able to eradicate the vice in our community. Without it, we may not be able to do anything. They say, but if we first of all accept that yes, this is happening, then what? What solutions can we be able to get for us to put an end to this? The solutions are with the community members. I got an opportunity to have some workshop with one NGO, and it talks about something called the GALS, GALS. It's called Gender Action Learning System. In this Gender Action Learning System, they can be able to they teach you on how to work together as a community, to live together as a community, to be to be able to understand that what a man can do, a woman can do. But there are now these teachings or sayings in the community where they say what a man can do, a woman can do better. And that is one of the sources of gender-based violence in the community. So if we can be able to say we are all equals,
both
equal
can do
partners in development, equal partners in the stake of our society, equal partners in the development of our homes, like what the Gender Action Learning System has put in place, we can be able to go far. The aspect of gender-based violence against men and boys can be put to an end. Yeah.
Yes, Vegas.
Yeah, first of all, the bottom line is accepting. It is accepting. From the other perspective, we men, we also need to accept that what a woman can do, a man can do. You understand? You know what a man can do, a woman can do. We need to accept that. Because a woman can kill me. A woman can kill me.
That's right.
And I can kill her. But for us, we don't accept that a woman can kill us. That's now where it starts eating us. Then we need to accept, like, if financially I'm not okay, I put up my hand and I speak. I say, Okodi Mavu, did I die? Will I even die?
No.
If I accept, I will not die. We need to accept these things. Accepting will take us far and harmonize this. Then we said less about the cultural violence we face, that where someone Kimnazz, Andes can be able to get from me a woman by force. Let you know.
Forced marriage.
Exactly. Let you know that the law doesn't write it anywhere that someone can bring me a woman by force. Those things passed those days. You understand?
Yeah.
So some of these things are now happening because of ignorance. Like from the village setup, it's now ignorance, because you find the elders think they can force you to do something. The elders think they can force you to what? To get married or stuff. A lot of things. Eh? The elders think you need to have kids. At the end of the day, these kids cannot get better education. And again, violence starts with them. It starts grooming from there. You understand? So we need to now, start reading more, learning more and stuff like that. That's how we can come out of this. But for me, I repeat, the bottom line is accepting. Yes, I don't have money. Did I die? Yes, she beats me. Did I die? Yes, I cannot afford this. Did I die? You see? So it's going to sort all this and we will be okay. Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much for being part of this discussion. And I know that, okay, the whole aim of this is, we are trying to have dialogue with different groups of people and having the discussion on gender-based violence, because I personally believe that if we start talking about these things way before, you can't even talk about something like this, like violence against men. What does that mean? But the fact that we are able to now, speak about this openly
means that
I think, yes, it is happening. And with time, we will be able to actually find solutions, proper solutions to this. So as we draw to the conclusion of this discussion, to summarize this up, what do you think, switching on the side of the girl child now and women, has the boy child, what do you think tops as the greatest cause of gender-based violence against women? I'm going to start with you. What do you think tops your list?
Tops my list.
Yes.
As gender-based violence against
a cause, like why it is happening to women.
Why it's happening to women?
Yes.
I think for me it's economic.
Economic.
Yes.
Poverty.
Poverty. Poverty has caused a lot of issues, and specifically when you look at Uganda, there is a lot going on right now. So you find there is a lot of rift. The woman's people bringing in rift because of dowry. The woman wants to do her hair, all petty things that the economy has caused a lot of. You go to countries that have a very good economy, you rarely get this violence. Women fighting, men fighting. Because money sometimes brings a lot of harmony. I can be able to tell you that. So for me, looking at our country, I think it is the economy that is causing a lot of this. And then also our tradition of being raised up. Esther is young, John is young, but we tell John, it is Esther supposed to slap you, don't slap her. It is Esther supposed to slap you. When Esther slaps me, I'm not supposed to retaliate. Oh, I don't slap her. She's a girl. So now, as we're raising these kids, we are raising our kids wrongly. So
upbringing.
Yes, upbringing. So this is why these are the things that
top your list.
Yes, top my list.
Okay, so Kim.
Yes, thank you so much. Before I answer that, I want to say that why the Palestine and Syria war is not ending is because right from birth they tell the kids that man in Syria is a bad person. So just as soon as you're given birth to, there is a way they inject that say into you. So you grow up knowing that they are bad people.
Bad people.
So this therefore means, they are your enemies. That therefore means right, we the parents, we people who are able to reproduce, to be able to teach these young ones right from the childhood, so that they can grow up with the mindset that we are meant to love, we are meant to grow together, we are meant to understand each other. But these are my two key top points as to why I think there's probably causes to gender-based violence, regardless of against men or women. To me, I look at irregular laws we have, how we treat the constitution, how we treat the laws. Because if the laws are now are very okay, they're not equal. If people still believe right from the government, the different institutions, including schools, including police, the army, as long as people still believe that men are supposed to be stronger, not only in the aspect of defense, but also against women. They should be stronger than women in all aspects. Then that is wrong. We're not going to need that. The last one is about alcoholism. I think everywhere alcohol is taking over. It's a very key thing that I think in our community, because now I'm zeroing it down to our community. Because here I can't talk about the bigger government. I can't talk about, drug abuse. I think these are the two key things. Even the inequality we're talking about even extends up to drug abuse. You find more men abusing drugs than women. So that therefore means we need to accept, we need to treat it with urgency that drug abuse is a key cause in this. Then if you generalize it, then you'll say drug abuse. But I look at alcoholism or alcohol consumption as a key thing. Because nowadays women believe they can even drink and reach home late and nothing happens. And that's already, a cause. Men can drink and come home late and they don't want to be talked to, that's already a cause of. I think we should look at these small things. Thank you.
Yes, Andy.
My colleagues have looked at all those aspects, but I want to look at the aspect of our culture, our customs, our tradition, and then the aspect of lack of clear land rights for either sex. It could be for the
men or women.
For the men or for the women, but mostly I want to look at it from the perspective of the women. You realize that the aspect of land rights, land is a very key driving factor of our economy. And so if a woman does not have a right over land, it could be the beginning of violence. In this community. Yes, this is the only way I can put food on table of my children, but I do not have any right over this land. And I am a wife in this home. So what next? But I know that there are certain communities where they give land, but the land which is given is in the names of that woman. That happens in the community where I come from. But I do not know if this is the same in other communities. Because when a woman goes to, dig land, tilled land, or even harvest, who comes in? Guess who comes in? It is the man. Sometimes he says, you are just a squatter in this home. You do not have
you don't belong here.
Over this land. Whatever is on this land belongs to me. I have the final say as a man on what is in this land. And so that brings in the aspect of gender-based violence. And the man will harvest the granules or whatever is on this land, goes to, guess what? Drink alcohol, like my colleague Kimnazz said, to abuse drugs. They end up chewing marunji the whole day. They end up, drinking alcohol the whole time and leaving the children and the women at home hungry. And so when there is a hunger mixed with all these issues, somebody starts sharpening a panga to end the life of this person who is putting this trouble in him or in her. And so these are some of the issues that we need to look at. Then the aspect of the tradition. Culturally, this aspect of the dowry, I know my colleague has hinted on it, but he talked at it from the perspective of poverty, of the economics that is not balancing well on our boat. But you marry. After marriage, the dowries are very exorbitant. Sometimes they ask you to pay 20 herds of cattle.
50.
Where can you afford if you, as the father of this woman, you do not even have 2 herds of two bulls in your home, and you expect me to get 50 from where? And so sometimes you start looking at this woman as the causer of your burden at home, and then at the end, let me deal with this woman first. Your father cannot ask for 50 herds of cattle, and yet your father does not even have
A cat.
cow downs at home. And then at the end of the day, the problem is transferred on this woman.
On this woman.
Violence. So this custom that needs to be harmonized. I'm very glad in some of the communities on West Nile, the elders are already sitting around the table. And in the community where I come from, specifically from Yumbe district, they are saying, if you are to marry, because now the elders have realized there are very many girls who are not married. Some go, they get one child, they run back to their father's home. Because the husband cannot afford dowry. Then they have reduced it to maximum of 5. They say 5 should be the maximum.
Where is that community?
In Yumbe.
So that we connect our brothers.
No, I'm just asking for my colleagues.
It should be 5 because all these women are marriage materials, but they are not married because their parents are asking for exorbitant dowry. So what is the cure? The cure is they should reduce on this. So the elders have sat down and agreed on that. But in other communities, when they say 50, it is 50. Either that family will split or you pay these dowries. And so the boys end up saying, let the family split. The easiest way for family to split is through beating her so that she leaves. And also sometimes the guys will say, no, you kill me here. You kill me here. So they go, oh, you want me to kill you here?
It's okay.
They remove your teeth. They remove what? So this, for me, the aspect of our customs is basically one of the major causes of gender-based violence in our homes, irrespective of whether it is against the women or men. But this is one of the reasons. Land, our custom, they are key. And if we can cure some of the troubles within these two, we can go far.
Yeah, we can go far indeed. So that has been a very interesting discussion. I'm sure our viewers have a lot to say. So in case you're watching this and you have a comment regarding what we've spoken about, feel free to share it with us. We shall ensure that we shall get back to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been really, really great. And I know it's just time. Otherwise, we really have a lot. I've not even completed the guiding questions. I think we've not even gone half. But I think we'll do this again some other time.
We're always available. When you need us, because you've also been there for us. We shall be there for you. And it's not only for you, but for the whole community.
For the whole community.
This is our job.
Yeah.
This is what we're supposed to do. This is what we're supposed to advocate for. This is the right thing we're doing.
Yeah.
So also we want to thank you for coming up with this initiative and trying to engage us the most. We shall always be there.
Yes. I know most times when people hear about Otelul and they hear about Kimnazz, they think about sports.
Yeah, of course.
And then politics.
Of course, you see, when you look at sports and politics, these are things that relate to the real life. Whatever you do, football relates to real life, politics relates to real life.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it gives us general knowledge about the whole
About
community.
everything. So I'm glad that we're able to have this discussion together. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for taking your time. And I want to thank my partners. Yes, Arua District Local Government. Thank you so much for making this possible. Also at Mr. Brands, Hikram Fashions, Lenia Makeup Studio. Thank you so much for making this happen. And till we meet next time, stay safe out there. And if you're a guy, if you're going through something, boy, child, you're a man and things are not going on well, please seek for help. Seeking for help is not weakness. As we've talked about it, seeking for help is not weakness. So ensure that you're safe. Take care and God bless you. Till we meet next week. Thank you.